Honestly, I did very little of what I'm about to tell you in my own most recent exam season, which, safe to say, didn't go too well. This is all stuff going from hindsight, things I wish I'd done and things that I'll hopefully do next year. In any case, I hope it helps you, whatever you're revising or preparing for. Without further ado, revision tips. Firstly, what I'd say was the most important thing, above all of the other tips that I'm going to give you afterwards, is to know what you need to know. There is no way you can do effective revision without knowing in advance everything that you're going to have to revise. So what I could suggest is you get up the syllabus or ask your teacher for a list of things or make one yourself from your revision guide or your textbook contents, just so you have a checklist of all the things that you need to get done. I did this for biology, which meant that every time I revised a little topic I could tick it off, and then I knew how much stuff I had left to do as the date of the exam became ever closer and ever scarier. It really helps you get a perspective of the task ahead and keep you organised, and also it helps you feel good when you can tick something off and you're like, hell yes, I've done that. From this, what a lot of people feel is a natural second step is scheduling. Personally, I've never really stuck to a revision schedule because I find it really disheartening if I don't keep up with what I wanted to do, or some days I feel like, oh, I'm not very in the right mood to revise biology, I'd rather revise history, and it just doesn't work for me. It stresses me out. However, I know for a lot of people planning out exactly what you're going to revise when helps keep you organised and on track, and then say you miss an hour somewhere, you can pick it up at the weekend or something like that. So if that's going to help you, then I'd recommend doing it, but don't feel like you have to, because it can be really stressful and off-putting. That's what I think. An alternative I used once is where I kept a log over half term and noted down everything I did in a day, so I would know if I was spending more or less time on a certain subject, or if I was falling behind, if I needed to do more. Also, something one of my teachers advised my French class to do when we were getting a bit overwhelmed by everything was to create a plan of however many weeks you have left of exam season and add in the things that you have to do and you can't move, like exams or work or extracurricular stuff, and then work out how many hours you have to revise around that. So then instead of things being all a big mush in your head, they're on paper and you can see what time you have to work with. Next, on to actual revision tips. I absolutely love mind maps. You can use them for so many things, to organise and link separate ideas, brainstorm what you know before you go over things, simply another way to present information. I just love them, they're really good. I made mind maps, for example, to create a cycle of how mitosis works in biology, or to link together a lot of ideas about a particular theme in English. And you can make them look pretty with colours, which might motivate you to revise more, and you can coordinate certain ideas. Say all your quotes from one character in English will be underlined in red and other ones in blue. It's just a nice visual learning thing. And also then, instead of just writing out loads of notes, basically copying it from your textbook, you're rearranging the ideas, so I think that helps you revise a little bit better. But then, oh my goodness, you've created all these mind maps, and what on earth do you do with them? You just stack them on a pile on your desk? No, absolutely not. I'm going to assume you have a bedroom or some sort of space, but use your walls. You have an entire canvas that you're going to be looking at multiple times a day, hours a day, and if you can stick your mind maps on them, then you're going to look at them as you walk past, and that'll get your mind going and revise stuff even without even trying. And this isn't just for the mind maps in the way I mentioned before. You could create posters like a diagram of the heart and label it, or something I did a lot during my GCSEs was I wrote questions on post-it notes and then the answers on the back, and then I stuck the post-it notes on my wall, and then I'd either test myself, or if someone came in my bedroom like my mum, I'd say, hey, could you read the questions on those post-it notes and see if I say the right answer? And I thought that was really useful, especially for stuff that just needs memorising. Revising the same question over and over again by having it on the post-it notes on your wall and picking them up time and time again means you're going to commit that to memory. So yes, you have an entire canvas around your bedroom. Use it in exam season. Utilise the space. Next is possibly the most useful and probably well known, but still a really useful piece of advice I can give you. It's not even a piece of advice really, it's just a fact. Do past papers. That's what you're going to be sitting when you come down to do the exam. You're going to be doing papers like these, just with slightly different questions. So do as many of them as you can in the run-up to the exam. Especially for things like the sciences, I think past papers are very useful because it can help you know the exact exam technique. Because the questions, there's only so many things they can ask you, and they're going to be asking you questions in the same sort of format and looking for the same answers. So do past papers and then mark them. Read carefully everything that's in the mark scheme and correct your answers so that you know what you've done wrong, and then you can improve on them in the next paper you do. And also by doing past papers alongside other sorts of revision you can really keep tabs on what you need to spend more time on. Of course, for written subjects, doing a lot of past papers can be very painful, for one thing, and also quite boring because the style of questions is always the same. So what I'd say is for subjects like English or history, you don't necessarily have to write loads of essays. I mean, that'll be really helpful, and try your best to do that throughout the year as well, so that you get used to the format of essay writing and get a formula down in your head. But I'd say essay plans can be just as effective as doing a full-blown essay or a full-blown past paper in another subject. I do A-level history, and one of the subjects we do is the Crusades, and we basically worked out that there were only so many questions they could ask us. So basically my revision for Crusades was making loads of mind maps for every single question we thought we could be asked, so that I had the precise detail and the knowledge ready in case I got asked that question. But practice papers and essay plans are just the best, because it's preparing you for the real thing. Like, you could know the content perfectly and still not do well in an exam because you don't know the technique or how to structure your answers. So that's why I think these two things in particular are just so useful. Obviously there's loads of other ways to revise, and these are just some of the most basic tips that help me the most and that I think I'm going to use when it comes around to revising next. But out of all this, I'd say what you really need to do is find the style of revision that works best for you. Whether it is testing yourself in past questions more, or spending a lot of time specifically revising content and finding different ways to do that. I think what you should do is not just stick to one method of revision, you should do as many as you can so the information gets shoved in your brain as best as possible and in 500 different ways. I hope this was as helpful for you as I'm hoping it's going to be for me next year. Obviously this video is not full coverage of everything there is to know. Maybe if I think of some more tips I'll do an updated version in the future. But my number one tip is to stay calm and don't punish yourself about anything in revision, because you don't need any extra stress, especially not coming from yourself. Just do your best, and remember it's okay to take breaks, it's okay to have a chill evening, and if the exams don't go how you wanted them to, it's really not the end of the world. And yes, that's about it. Hopefully I'll be seeing you guys soon then, and if I'm still useless, I'll definitely be seeing you in August, because I feel like I need to do a yearly results video, which I'm really scared about this year, but it's okay. As I said, the results aren't the be all and end all. Goodbye.